Hello from the UN NGO office in New York. I am Janet Palafox, your NGO representative at the United Nations. As part of our 20 years anniversary at the UN, we welcome members from our network in Australia, Canada, India, Nepal, and Spain. They were here as delegates of the 68th session on the Commission of the Status of Women. Here are their reflections.
I'm Cecilia Oduar. I'm from IBVM, Spain. I was the NGO representative here for about 7 years. I suppose I've been very aware of the years of work that's gone into the Commission on the Status of Women. We have advanced a lot, and there may be kind of lack of imagination about what differences still exist. There's always the salary gap that isn't nearly solved yet, and the care economy. It's unpaid care or badly paid care, which is the whole world of domestic work. And it's so good to see the women involved in domestic work, actually standing up for their rights. You need policies to change, you need legislation to change, but you also need the funds. All of that can be done at a national level, but that has to seep down through all the different levels of governance within a country. This process of shall we call it the advancement of women, it is a long process. It takes time, it will take time, but it's nowhere near ending until we get to the point where both men and women actually are equal in every aspect of our life, really.
I am Smita, belonging to Congregation of Jesus Nepal region. I am here for 2 months of immersion experience at the UN. So the favorite part of CSW would be the different culture, different attitude, different concepts able to express themselves. It was so remarkable when the member states negotiate on a particular conclusion or resolutions. That gives me a lot of hope in terms of back home in my community life, how I need to have this quality to negotiate, to listen, and then to give my opinion. My taking away from my experience, I would encourage students to be an advocate in terms of social justice related issues. They have a lot of values, my children in Nepal back home. They open the mouth, they speak wisdom, but they're frightened to open the mouth. So I will link them to the United Nations, so that would give them an opportunity to be confident and to speak up.
Hi, I'm Mary Eileen Donovan, and I am the present chair of the advisory committee for the IBVM CJ NGO. One of the things that the Secretary General said yesterday, my mother and her generation didn't work this hard to move women forward in their rights, to only have our daughters and granddaughters not even having the rights that we already have. And, we're moving backwards. I mean, that's what he was saying. We really need to work hard. They talked about the whole role of artificial intelligence. The woman that had done the research out of London, England, talked about the fact that she asked ChatGPT to do a story about a young boy and a young girl, and the significant difference that came up between the two stories because of the algorithms. The algorithms are determined by males. So she said, we need to not only have more women doing it, but we also need to start making sure that it responds to different information, like the United Nations information on gender equity and that kind of thing.
I'm Sister Yvonne Hunter. I'm presently on the leadership team of IBVM Canada, but I am here because I was a representative who opened the UN NGO office in New York 20 years ago at the session sponsored by the Mission of the Holy See. What the Archbishop said particularly impressed me. He said what it's all about is the subjugation of some for the enrichment of others. And that's why the problem of poverty, and especially the poverty of women, is such a big thing. There was a woman who spoke at the one on trafficking, and they significant resources to pro bono work, particularly on the issue of trafficking, to go after getting compensation for victims of trafficking and to take away the fruits, the economic fruits of trafficking from the people who are making money from it. Somebody from the Irish police had talked about the difficulty of prosecuting, because often the victims of trafficking can't come forward or don't have the means or are afraid to do it. So they're looking at other ways to prosecute these people for things like money laundering. And one of the speakers also said, for the public at large to be aware of it and to look out for it. So if you're in a taxi, ask questions. Look at where your food is, who's delivering your food. Are they people who are being trafficked? And if they are, talk to them and also report it.
I'm Lauren Grant and I'm one of the youth representatives. I'm very fortunate to be interning here for a few months supporting Sister Janet. Something that I found really interesting was the difference between the side events and the parallel events. So the side events were run predominantly by member states and UN agencies, whereas the parallel events happened outside the UN and were mainly run by civil society, so NGOs. During the side events, the member states seem to boast about how great their gender policies are and how great they're doing in terms of gender equality, whereas the parallel events really spoke about the grassroots issues. In terms of themes that I saw come across, the fear that gender equality is going backwards. I think with the rise of ideology and conflict around the world, women are suffering and women's rights are suffering. Another key theme that I saw was the rise of AI. The industry is just growing exponentially. If we don't get women to the table fast enough, then we'll be left behind. The care sector is undervalued across the world and it is predominantly female dominated. Another point that came up a lot was the importance of data and that we can't improve gender equality if we don't have the data to know what the core issues are. I loved having the opportunity to meet so many young people who were advocating for youth voices. However, it was disheartening to see that these youth voices weren't really being listened to. Definitely feel like this is changing, especially with the Summit of the Future and the ECOSOC Youth Forum happening next month.
I'm Sister Daisy, belongs to Congregation of Jesus. I come from Mumbai and I am happy that I got an opportunity to come here. I enjoyed that number of countries coming to UN. All are trying to bring women's grievances, especially where women are downtrodden and they have no human rights. Mainly Gaza, I was really touched to listen to, and I was impressed by the report from Poland helping Ukraine women. They were not poor, but the war made them poor and they lost their families, children, but still they are surviving with the help of many NGOs. When I go back, I get connected with the CJs plus other people also, some other organization I came to know.
Yo soy Marta Santos, de la provincia de España, y en cuanto a los temas concretos que más me han tocado, porque, bueno, pues claro, todos hemos escuchado mucho de violencia de género, de educación para el empoderamiento de las mujeres y las niñas, del tema de la trata, pero hay como un concepto nuevo que yo me llevo y que además también tiene que ver mucho con mi realidad, ¿no? Y es el tema de la sociedad de los cuidados, las políticas para los cuidados. Me ha tocado mucho porque yo soy una mujer que cuido casi sola a mis hijos y durante estos días pues he tenido que dejarlos en manos de otras personas que los cuidaran, y entonces me he sentido como particularmente implicada cuando escuchaba a mujeres hablando sobre la necesidad de compartir los cuidados para poder crecer en el tema de empoderamiento de la mujer y de igualdad de género. Me quedo eso con algunas ideas como de que esto es un cambio de paradigma social, que es necesario entender los cuidados como un derecho para todos y para todas. Es un derecho además intergeneracional, no solamente el tema de cuidar a los niños, sino de cuidarnos entre todos, de cuidar a las personas mayores, de cuidar no solo a los seres humanos, sino a toda la vida que nos rodea, ¿no? Y como en esto pues es necesaria la implicación de todos y de todas, ¿no? Y que en la medida que las mujeres asumen esa carga, y lo hacen porque la necesidad obliga, ¿verdad?, están desatendiendo su crecimiento personal y su empoderamiento, ¿no? El gran reto es poder transmitir esto, ojalá que podamos, ¿verdad?, hacerlo llegar a nuestros colegios, a nuestros antiguos alumnos, a la gente que se siente vinculada de alguna forma al instituto, ¿verdad? Y luego hacer crecer ese interés en España, que es un país que no tiene mucha tradición, ¿no?, de interés por los temas políticos internacionales, y mi reto es conseguir que esto vaya calando, que podamos hablar de estos temas desde una perspectiva más global.